Hey folks, welcome to a very special episode of Arcane Assist. This is our Crucible Guard spoiler episode. Thanks to the good folks at Privateer Press, we've got a couple of models to spoil with you today, and we're really excited about it. I'm Tim, joined today by
Evan.
And I'm Jason.
And we're talking Crucible Guard.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, in addition to this video right here, so you guys don't have to go and screen cap halfway through the video, we're going to be posting these to our Facebook page, just the generic text CID card for both of the things we're spoiling today. And we just ask that you please share those directly from our page as opposed to making your own post in each group. Just that way everyone can come and see them at the same time in the same place, and you can link them back to our video and see all the feedback we have, because we're also going to do a bit of a cross-analysis of the entirety of the spoilers we have for Crucible Guard at this point.
It gives us hits, it gives us subscribers, and I think we do a lot for the community, and we'd appreciate it.
All right, and without further ado, we're going to talk about Prospero. So, Prospero is a Crucible Guard solo who has a speed of 6, a strength of 8, a mat of 5, a mat of 6, a rat of 5, def 13, arm 16, command 6, focus 4. He's a character, he costs 5 points, he's on a medium base, and has 8 boxes. So anything about that stat line stand out to you?
I mean, obviously the fact that he has a focus stat indicates to us we're dealing with a junior warcaster, which is pretty exciting.
Yep, we've already talked to that a bit.
Yep. I think it was spoiled at one point that Prospero is a junior warcaster, but he's got a stat line that's similarly survivable to like a Thralg, which, Jay, I know you've played Thralg a fair bit.
Yeah, I play them in minions, and they're fairly durable. You just you can't play them in a spot that's you can't play them dangerously.
So he's more durable than some juniors we've seen, but he doesn't have, like the stat line on its face doesn't give him a lot of support. He also has a command of 6, which is going to be relevant.
Yeah, and having 8 boxes on a model that can reduce damage with focus is pretty great.
Arlen has 8 boxes, and I find he just never dies.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on from that, his abilities. He is a construct, kind of a brain shoved inside of a robot, so that's a thing. He is a battle group controller, as talked about earlier. He's got Field Marshal, Dispel, so the melee weapons of Warjacks in this model's battle group gain Dispel.
Yep.
Pretty intense. He's a Soul Vessel, so take that convergence, I guess. And his command stat's relevant because he has Veteran Leader Warjack.
Yeah, so a couple things about that. First of all, Field Marshal Dispel does specify melee weapons, so you don't get it on ranged attacks.
Tim, you must mean Field Marshal Critical Dispel.
Nope, just Field Marshal Dispel. On hit, his Warjack's Dispel. It's pretty great. He, it's a really cool ability. I like it on him. It makes you kind of think about what kind of things you want to use with him, or if we could use him as kind of a delivery mechanism for the upkeep removal that you want to have in faction. It's cool to see really, really powerful upkeep removal like this on something like a junior. Also, Veteran Leader Warjack on a limited command like 6 makes you want to play him kind of maybe with ranged jacks, stuff that has some guns. It's also worth noting that Veteran Leader Warjack does not specify models that are in his battle group. So he can give that Veteran Leader out to the jacks in your Warcaster's battle group.
In terms of weapons, he has a Exothermic Pulse, which is range 10, rate of fire 1, and POW 12. No AoE, but it has crit fire and is damage type fire. And he has 2 fists that are both half-inch range that are POW 4 and POW strength 12 as well. So, yeah.
He's not winning any melee awards.
But he has a cool chest laser.
He does have a cool chest laser. Rat 5, it's not bad at all.
So, just for the record, I am going to paint mine up like Iron Man.
Yeah, no, I definitely, there's like early Iron Man inspiration here. Like, he's definitely got that aesthetic going, and I think the chest laser is a nice touch.
Yeah. So, spell list. Here's the fun part. He has Guided Fire, which we've seen on the likes of Sloan. Cost 3, range self, AoE control, lasts his turn. While in the spellcaster's control range, model in its battle group gain boosted range attack rolls for 1 turn. Crazy. But wait, there's more. He also has a spell called Instability Equation. It is cost 1, range 6, it lasts a turn, and it says target friendly Warjack stands up if it was knocked down, is no longer stationary, and can turn to face any direction. If the Warjack was suffering disruption, it is no longer disrupted. The Warjack gains up to 3 focus points. The Warjack also gains the unstable special rule for 1 turn. Oh my god.
That is a very weird spell. Couple things that obviously jump out. It feels a bit like Jumpstart. It does not have a in this model's battle group clause, so he can be a support junior who gives out 3 focus to all the jacks in your own battle group. You imagine something like putting that on a Vanguard, having it go fully loaded into something, trade up really well, and then blow up. Kind of exciting.
I get it. Also has the ability to fuel up a suppressor quite well, because they're going to be focus intensive groups with the amount of sprays that they have on them.
Sure, yeah. I think the suppressor is actually, if this jack kind of underwhelmed you a little bit initially, which I know, Jay, you were saying at one point that the suppressor really did, this feels like a really good home. Like guided fire on 2 sprays. Even spray 6 is like you can hit a lot of pieces with that. Makes up for its Rat 5 or Rat 6 under Veteran Leader.
Yeah, especially if you, say, have 1 suppressor in Prospero's battle group that goes and does 2 Ice Cage sprays, and then 1 in your main battle group that now just goes and sprays the now -4 defense guys and stationaries them. Yep. That's a really good way to get use out of your focus, and then also get a nice free almost auto-hitting Rust spray in on whatever you've done, or Incendiary, light those blocks of ice on fire.
little fire and rain right there.
I
Seems pretty good.
also think it's worth noting that Instability Equation says up to 3 focus points, so you don't actually have to give it that 3.
I think that's mostly for if like a model is powered up and you give it like the rest of the 2. There's some circumstances in which maybe you don't want to give them 3, like if there's a Forsaken on the table and you know you don't want to trigger Unstable, so you're planning to only spend 1 focus, but you don't want to give them the other 2. In that case, it's kind of like a poor version of Jumpstart, although a version of Jumpstart that doesn't specify your own battle group. So that's pretty cool.
But it's also a version of Jumpstart that removes stationary.
Yes, that's fair. That's and disruption.
And disruption.
So, like, you could treat him a little bit like an Arcanist that can do this up to 4 times and just kind of be able to cure disruption. But I think like the real enthusiasm is the fact that he can distribute. Theoretically, he can distribute 12 focus at the risk of it causing your jacks to blow up.
See, to touch on something you said earlier when it came to the suppressor, the way they're releasing the information in these spoilers, it's hard to get the big picture context in little piecemeal sockets. So, initially I saw the suppressor and my thought was, it seems like a light trapped in a heavy body. And the more the synergies were released, the more the little nuggets came out about the faction, and then Prospero himself just kind of put it over the top. I'm a little happier with the suppressor now.
Yeah, I think you were saying, Jay, I think that you're all in on Crucible Guard. Is that the plan? We're definitely going to film some Crucible Guard battle reports after Lock and Load when we've got some models to bring back and can paint them up and show them off.
Yeah.
I like Prospero a lot. Let's talk a bit about some caster specific synergies, because I think that's worth having a conversation about. I think any caster who wants jacks but doesn't necessarily want or doesn't think they've got enough ability to fuel a battle group, or wants to play very disposable jacks, could be really good with him.
I thought it was pretty interesting that you could have, if you take him with Baldwin Gearhart, I don't know which one we're calling him by yet. I remember a post in the Crucible Guard group where I posted #Baldwinning, so I think I'm going to go with Baldwin.
Okay,
but
seems good.
He has Veteran Leader Faction Warrior, and Prospero has Veteran Leader Warjack, so you can basically just get +1 to hit on your entire army if you position pretty well.
No, that's true, and like. His Command 9 is a better bubble than Prospero's Command 6, but Warjacks have a larger footprint, so you can actually tag a similar amount of space. You could do something like have Gearhart cast Boundless Charge on a jack, and then have Prospero load it with 3 focus.
Yep.
So send your more disposable type of chassis in on something with fully loaded free charge at a total focus cost from your actual caster of 2.
Yep. That's kind of awesome.
Yep, seems pretty sweet.
And deceleration is another good way to help keep Prospero alive.
Yeah, that's very true. At 13-16, I think he wants a little bit of support, and I think that's a really cool way to give it to him. And the thing is, I find often you want to protect your juniors, but have to end up doing it with distance because they're not like you don't want to put an upkeep spell on them that's important and have it protect them. Like Silvestro has Transmutation, which is strength and defense, which is actually pretty good on Prospero. If you think about the fact that he goes to defense 15, armor 16, which is like really survivable, but then he has 2 POW 12 melee attacks, and then he can buy 4 more, and those go up to POW 14. So like in a weird clutch situation, he could kind of go in and like really finish something off, which is something that I feel like juniors end up doing quite a bit. But in the normal course of a game, you don't want to waste that really powerful upkeep spell, like which is also a really powerful debuff spell. Like it's going to be somewhere on the board. I don't really want it on my junior who's hanging out behind all my jacks.
That's fair. Although Silvestro does have some great synergy in terms of guided fire stacking with his feet, and in just having basically boosted signs of importance guns on whatever jack you happen to have. Suppressor's pretty great with it. You don't even have to use the ice cage. You could just hit and use your incendiary. But who knows? There might be some other great gunjacks in the faction that we can use that synergy on.
Was that a little teaser? Was that what that was?
Maybe
There's another gunjack.
I was also thinking in a pinch with Silvestro, you could actually use Prospero with Explosivo as your boosted gun battery, just for an unexpected angle of attack.
Yep. Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty decent actually. I mean, it's not a terrible gun. Gives it some access to accurate RFP. Just more boostable attacks, I think, is one of the things that he brings to the faction. Just a lot more efficiency. He's also a really cool model. I think he's one of the only models we've actually seen like a physical spoiler for. They've been posting around. The Privateer Press staff have been painting him on a variety of channels and showing off their various painted Prosperos. Yeah.
Also interesting, we haven't really talked about it. He's a medium base. He doesn't look like it in any of the pictures, but he is.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of models just not having a huge amount of base overhang. So I like that if he's going to be kind of like posed actively, that he still kind of fits on his base well.
Yeah.
A big fan of that.
Mm-hmm. Also makes better use of that Command 6 or that Focus 4 with being on a medium base.
Very true. It extends his control area, which is a thing a lot of people don't right away think about. He is not a model that we see the immunities that we've seen on some other models. Like he doesn't have a breather, he doesn't have immunity of corrosion, immunity to fire, or an alchemical mask.
I mean, he doesn't really need a breather. Most gas effects only affect living.
Sure. So I'm just saying, like, we've seen that as kind of a bit of a universal special rule with him, and or pardon me, with a lot of other models in the faction so far. And they have said that not everything is going to have that ability. So people who are afraid that if you're playing Menoth and your guns are fire typed, you're going to have nothing at all to shoot at. Rest assured, Crucible Guard is not universal special rule immune to fire.
So I think that's about it for Prospero. We're just going to leave the card up on a screen for you guys to check out for a minute here. Yeah. And then we're going to head on to our second spoiler.
Let you guys see what he's all about and what he does and how he ticks. So that's Prospero, and I think he's pretty cool. We're going to talk next about Vulcan, which is a Crucible Guard Colossal Warjack.
Oh, baby!
It's pretty exciting. The Vulcan is Speed 6, Strength 16, Mat 6, Rat 6, Defense 8, Armor 19, Field Allowance 2, 37 point cost on a huge base, and he has 50, I think it's 54 damage boxes. He's missing 7 boxes from a grid of 36 is 9, 58 boxes, 58 damage boxes.
You said Rat 6?
I did say Rat 6. I also said Speed 6.
Yes. Speed 6 is intriguing, but the Rat 6...
If you're already thinking maybe this Colossal should have guided fire from a junior, I agree with you.
I was actually thinking with Vet Leader.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how good are his guns even though?
Well, maybe we need to get there.
Indeed.
Well, two more rules blocks before we get there.
Okay.
Hold on.
The Vulcan is a construct. It is immune to corrosion and fire. It has Pathfinder and Bulldoze and a universal special rule called Alchemical Vents. At the beginning of this model's activation, choose one of the following alchemical vent effects. While within 5 inches of this model, models are affected by the chosen effect. When its S system is crippled, this model loses the benefits of Alchemical Vents. Alchemical Vents lasts for 1 round. The 3 effect options are Ironbane. Affected constructs, does not say living or enemy, without immunity corrosion suffer rust. A construct suffering rust suffers -2 armor. Second effect, Miasma of Death. Affected living models lose tough and cannot have damage removed from them unless they ignore gas effects. Third alchemical vent effect, Unnatural Affliction. Affected enemy models lose immunity cold, immunity corrosion, immunity electricity, and immunity fire. So, what do you guys think about that?
I think that Nemo can eat it. I think that Northkin can eat it. I think that Menoth is going to hate it. I think that it's amazing. And I love it. And yeah, there's so much I love about this. It's amazing.
Jay?
I think Evan said it all. My first thought was, as you saw me cheer when Tim said removes tough, or
And
you
can
lose tough and can't
removed?
remove damage. Yep. I was cheering the death of Madrak 1 and his champions. And the immunity to cold is going to force like some of the other cold casters to actually really have to change how they play. It's a game changer on the tabletop, but I don't think it's over the top.
Yeah, forcing casters like Sorsha and casters like Borka 2 to worry about having to actually be stationary sometimes maybe is really good.
So, a couple things. Obviously, it's got +2 damage against Jax just by virtue of that Ironbane. It's immune to corrosion, so it doesn't give itself -2 armor, but it could potentially give -2 armor to constructs that aren't immune to corrosion in the faction.
Like Prospero.
Yeah, Prospero's a little bit afraid. He wants to be not within 5 inches of this model, but within 6 inches of it to give it vet leader.
Yeah.
So you're dancing a little bit of a dance there. I think this is a piece that has really, really neat specialized tools for a lot of occasions. And the thing that's really cool about it is it's got that meta correcting or meta bending element that we've talked about from time to time, where the specific tools it brings to bear feel like they're going to be good against some of the power forces in the game right now. Do we want to talk about the weapons?
Oh, yes. Of course we want to talk about the weapons.
Okay, so I'm going to do this a little out of order because I want to create this feeling of suspense where we put the best part at the end. It has 2 fists, left and right fists. They're range 2, POW 3, which makes them a total of POW strength 19, and they both have the open fist quality. He also has a Aqua Mortem rocket in his left arm. It is range 14, rate of fire 1, AoE 4, POW 14, and has arcing fire. Additionally, it has a minimum range of 5 inches and reload 1, so you can spend a focus to shoot it twice. And the special rule, Chemtrail. This is, I think, a great name for a rule. The AoE remains in play for 1 round. And while in the AoE, models are affected by the chosen alchemical vents effect. When its superstructure system is disabled, it loses the benefits of Chemtrail. So this is a little bit like the Blightbringer in War Machine, which is, I think, super cool. Unlike the Blightbringer, his effects are not warrior model, and they're more debuff-oriented than buff-oriented, which puts him in a really interesting place in terms of where his positioning is going to be.
So what we're saying, just to summarize real quick, is this miasma, or alchemical...
Any of the alchemical vents.
Alchemical vents, you can have 3 of these 5 inches around this base,
Yep.
and then 2 more 5-inch AoEs in play.
2 AoE 4s, 4-inch AoEs. Yeah.
in play.
So it can shoot 1 down on a unit of champions and deny them tough. It can be surrounded by Fenblades and deny all of them tough. And it can shoot the other one at the second brick of champions and give all of them the inability to have tough or damage removed from them.
Although, fairly importantly, it's only on the left side.
Yeah, that's relevant. The positioning on this model is going to be technical. It's going to be kind of complicated, and I think that's really cool. I think it's neat that they've got this centerpiece of the army that is really, really neat, really powerful, and with kind of demanding positioning requirements.
It is always going to be displayed on your right.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like often in armies that have colossals, you want to be able to flip mirror your deployment based on what the terrain is set up in front of you, which makes like side choice even more relevant.
But Tim, that almost doesn't seem like enough. There still has to be something else here.
What?
The sprays.
Oh, did we not say that?
No, we did not.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Yeah. It does seem like enough. That's the problem. It seems like this thing is really great and really faction defining. But it also has 2 vitriolic deflagrators, which are left and right guns that are spray 10, rate of fire 1, POW 14, corrosion typed. So if you accidentally clip one of your jacks, they're immune to it. And continuous effect corrosion. So it's RAT 6 with 2 10-inch sprays.
I think you mean RAT
7 guided fire 10-inch sprays.
Guided fire 10-inch sprays that also, if you're under Silvestro, have signs importance.
Super signs important.
Well,
Super signs importance.
in this case, mostly just signs importance.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silvestro being able to buff this with Prospero also being able to buff this is really neat. Yeah, this is a really cool Colossal. I think one of the things we've seen in CID cycles recently is things like the Victor and the Conquest coming down in points a little bit. Prior to that, the Blightbringer and the Archangel got tuned down a little bit. In general, I think Privateer Press learned the lesson that in Mark III, a lot of their Colossals were very expensive. And while they were kind of the mainstay of Mark II, they didn't want them to completely dominate Mark III, and they kind of faded off a little bit, but we do want to see them present in the game. So when this card was originally spoiled to me and I started kind of unpacking it, I got to 37 points and I was like, are we making that mistake again? Like, is this too expensive? A Colossal's got to do a lot to be worth 37 points, especially if you want me to put this Prospero Jr. guy on it, and that's going to be like a 42-point package.
And a little risky.
Yep, and a little risky. It's a 42-point package, and then I read this model and I was like, oh my god, there's a lot there.
Now, I like the thought of this Colossal on Gearhart because of Hotshot.
Yeah.
Hotshot with Prey.
Stealing my points.
Um,
Why don't I talk about my points with you guys beforehand? Get out of here. No, this is mine. So,
Secret Evan tech.
He's really good with Gearhart because Gearhart has Hotshot. Target model in this spellcaster's battle group gains boosted ranged attack damage rolls with your 2 10-inch sprays and an AoE 4.
POW 14 across the board there too. So like boosted POW 7s is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and he can give them prey with his feet.
And the reloads for the second POW 14 AoE 4.
Yeah.
Like anyone who played Bart Galleon has that experience. Like Hotshot on the Galleon's shots are really, really good because you had 2d3, and really what you were playing for there was the POW 7 blast damage. Now, he doesn't have 2d3 of them. He has 2 of them, and at the cost of a focus. But 2 spray 10s, I think, more than make up for that.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and the prey for the +2 to hit and damage, so
Yep.
that they're actually POW 16, and then the potential +4 to damage because of Ironbane, or because you shot it with a suppressor earlier, or because you shot it with the rocket that gives +2 damage to living earlier. Like the amount of buff debuff stacking in this faction is just crazy.
Yeah, it's really neat. I think they've got some challenging and technical positioning oriented support pieces and fairly straightforward, simple to play caster activations, which is sort of the opposite we often see.
See, my first thought, now having seen a larger picture, is the order of activations for this army is going to matter a lot.
I don't think order of activations is going to be quite as challenging here as it is in like even Menoth.
Not necessarily challenging, but there's going to have to be a pattern to it. Like I need to activate this model to remove your defense. I need to act this model to remove your armor, and then I'm going to go in with these guys to hammer you. It's just there's going to be a flow to how your models go, and I think certain pieces being removed are going to throw your own personal synergies off. I think it seems like a simple yet hard army to play. Like you're going to have to think really hard about how you play it, and your opponent's going to have to find your linchpins and pull them.
I think that the way Crucible Guard is going to play out is it's going to feel like reactive puzzle solving. I think every single circumstance on the table is going to be, you sit down and you're like, okay, what I want to do this turn is this. How do the pieces line up to make that happen? And I think that's actually a really cool style of play.
It's the Rube Goldberg machine of War Machine.
But not needlessly complicated. Like every single time you kind of have to decide how much of that force you need to bring to bear. And you think like, okay, do I need to give that Jack -2 armor? Like what's my focus allocation? If I give it -2 armor, can I afford to not do this? And there's redundancy built in there too. Like we talked before about Prospero with that really cool unstable spell, but you imagine you debuff something really sufficiently and you're like, to kill this model, I should need a charge attack and 1 bot attack. So I'm going to send in this Boundless Charge Jack and he'll finish it. But at relatively low opportunity cost, I'm going to also give him 2 extra focus. And I don't want to spend them because I don't want to have to roll for unstable. But if I have to, I will, to make that peace trade happen. So like, there's some really cool tools there. I think it's going to be a really neat faction. And the Vulcan is, I think, a huge part of that.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly an interesting piece. It has a lot of tools for a Colossal.
Easy stuff to overlook. Speed 6, we don't see on a lot of Colossals. And if you play this with Silvestro, he's got his super fuel, so he can give his own Warjacks. This is, again, assuming not playing him with Prospero. Warjacks in his battle group that are currently within 5 inches get +2 speed. So you can start the game with a speed 8 Vulcan that you can run up to 16 inches anywhere on the board.
Is it wrong that I want to buy 2?
I mean, they're FA2. I mean, it's the thing that's really cool about the notion of 2 Vulcans is you could imagine models being affected by both of their debuffs.
Well, that's the thing. You can throw out 2 of those alchemical vent effects and have them layered.
It'd be really weird in the mirror match to have one of them go up and remove immunity corrosion from something, and then have the other one go up and rust it, because now it can be rusted.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Or like even the fact that if you only have 1 in your list, you remove immunity corrosion and then your suppressors go up and just rust whatever.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, although rust doesn't normally have an immunity corrosion factor, does it? I think
that's fair.
Specific to Ironbane.
I think that might just be specific to Ironbane.
Yeah, we have all these cards in front of us. We could just look.
Hold on. There's one. Nope, you're right. Doesn't.
Yeah, so
Or you could just use your suppressors to start with.
I think this faction has a lot going on. And the crazy thing is we haven't even seen the full CID package. Like we have the benefit of being the last, I think, very, very near the end, or certainly the last spoiler video from the community spoilers, and we're starting to really see the picture come together. When you think about this thing in the context of the 2 casters we've had cards fully spoiled for, or in the context of being played with something like the Rayless Intercessor or the Dragon Breath Rockets. Interceptor? I don't know why I keep saying Intercessor. I'm sorry. The Rayless Interceptor. There's a lot of really amazing tools there. And I think the Vulcan is the piece that I got the most excited about, that I was like, that is a cool Colossal. But There's been a lot of really neat stuff we've seen so far.
I don't know. I'm super excited for either the Vanguard or whatever other dirt cheap light they get, and then just loading them all up with focus and sending them in to explode.
Yep. That's pretty cool. Did you have a thought, Jay?
I was going to say, like we touched on earlier, as the pieces come together, I get more and more excited, and the Vulcan was the thing that put me over the top. Silvestro was a close second.
Yeah.
But the Vulcan was it was the cherry on top of my sundae.
Yeah, I'm into it. The Prospero just seems so weird and so neat. I ended up playing with a fair amount of unstable jacks because I used to play like a Vlad 1 Berserker list back at the beginning of Mark II. And unstable is a weird rule because it feels like when you don't want it to trigger, it's a weird rule. It usually doesn't trigger. Like fully 50% of the time, even if you spend all of your focus, you don't roll unstable and explode. But you don't want to risk blowing up because of unstable. So, I don't know. it feels like you're going to have games with that ability where you could just opt to hit way above your class and hope you just get lucky. And I think of those kind of moments in a War Machine game where you know you're down and you know attrition's going against you and you're in kind of a bad situation. And you're like, well, my only out here is to just like hope I kind of dice my opponent a little bit. And if you just imagine like fully loading jacks for a couple of turns and just hoping you don't roll unstable rolls and that coin toss coming your way a couple of times and all of a sudden you're up on attrition now. Like those situations have happened to me on both sides of the table. And I think Prospero has a lot of hidden power. Like there's what you can see on the table, which is quite powerful, but there's also, I think there's a deep kit to that particular junior.
Yeah, that spell just has so many uses.
Well, and even just like I throw your jack out of the zone so he can't, contest, and
he stands back up and walks in.
Well, or I mean, stand back up and walked in is no problem, but
hits you.
You throw a jack out of control area, so a caster can't deal with it. Well, Prospero walks over and he's like, it stands up, it gets the focus it needs, it can go run somewhere now.
Yep.
I mean, that won't work if you throw it on your own turn, but if your opponent just throws it out of his zone, that's perfectly valid.
Yeah. Or if by some, like, it's also just a solution to, I best up and put this jack out of control.
Yep. Yeah. Or I want to play this jack really far on a flank.
Yeah. Or you can boundless charge something super far up, and then suddenly like your opponent didn't kill it in the turn you expected them to, and you can go and
they're
back
like,
up.
well, I can ignore it because it can't power up, and it's fighting against things it needs to boost to hit, and now all of a sudden it can boost to hit.
And it's also a great way to deal with TK control casters that just turn your stuff around.
Yeah, absolutely, because it does have that face any direction clause. That's a really good point.
Yep. Also, like, just blowing up in the face of high defense skews, doing just POW 14s to everything is nice.
Now, I'm not...
Unreliable.
I'm not sure I ever want to do this.
Okay. I have a story. I've seen a mad dog, and by seen, I mean experienced a mad dog, trampling over a bunch of my stuff. Not killing any of that, because that wasn't important. And then exploding, killing my Iris, Iona, and Holt, and Gorman. So, you know what? It works.
So
that's like, hold on, at the time, they were 7 points. That was like, just the Iris made the points back.
So, if you unstable the Vulcan, and I'm not saying this is like a good idea, but if you unstable the Vulcan, the range on unstable is it 2 inches?
3
inches.
3.
So the footprint on a 5-inch base, well, 120 millimeter base, which is technically a slightly different size, with 3 inches out from it, is a lot. It's almost an 11-inch bubble of things taking a POW 14.
Oh my god!
Would the rust still be in effect if it had the rust aura on it when that happened?
So the timing on unstable says
they suffer the damage and then you remove the model with unstable from play.
Yeah. So if you're rusting some jacks, that's a POW 16. I mean, don't try this at home.
I mean,
but it's
or
a very hold my beer. My Vulcan's gonna do a thing.
If you do this and you lose a game, it's not our fault. But you should do this and lose that game because it'll be fun.
That seems pretty amazing.
I should do this on the cast. I should do this on a battle report.
No, don't
strongly
do that.
Disagree.
All right, folks. I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff Crucible Guard wise coming down the pipe, and I know we're going to be extensively testing during the CID cycle,
Yep.
so that we feel ready to produce actual battle reports, and we will be bringing models back from Lock and Load. If you happen to see us there, feel free to say hey. I'll be at Lock and Load. I think Evan.
TBD. Likely
TBD,
not, but
anyway. Yeah, but I'll be at Lock and Load trying to play some Iron Arena games with Crucible Guard that I rapidly try to assemble, because the hype is real.
Mm-hmm. I'll be playing them in CID.
Yeah, and we're really excited about it. If you've got questions or comments, feedback for us, even just list ideas, once the CID starts, we'd love to have your comments and feedback on some things you'd like to see sort of tried out and tested out, because we can definitely do that. And if, as we said, if this is your first time watching and you enjoyed the commentary we had here, feel free to like and subscribe our channel blindly, assuming that our battle reports are really good, and then come back and watch them.
Yeah. Yeah. I strongly encourage this.
Yeah. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our channel here, and have yourselves a great day.